We are at the beginning of the Xbox domination generation. Some of you have mocked me for saying that. Some of you have said, you're crazy. Look at the console sales of the PlayStation versus the Xbox. Well, guess what, everybody? We are at the beginning of the Xbox domination generation. I got some news stories to go through today where we got some astounding numbers. We've got Game Pass growing. We've got Xbox becoming the number one, or Microsoft, the number one games publisher in the world last month. That's not going to end. That's only going to continue. Yes, that is a result of the acquisitions, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Xbox is taking this serious. Microsoft is taking this serious. There's a lot of money to be made in gaming. There's a lot of money to be made in subscription gaming. And that's why I have felt these moves being made are setting them up for the long term, where we're going to see Xbox really begin to dominate. I think that we're at the start of that. I think that is here. And I think it's interesting. The game I'm playing right now, by the way, for those of you who want to know, is Game Pass. I would not have jumped into it if it wasn't for Game Pass, and that is Lonely Mountain, the new ski game that dropped on Game Pass. It's fantastic, everybody. If you've not played it, it's like this relax. You know what it reminds me of? It's like Trials. Remember the motorcycle game Trials, but with skiing. It's beautiful. It feels good. It's smooth. It's real. It's like meditating when you play, and it's just fun. I love it. I'm loving it. It's what I'm playing right now, so highly recommend it if you guys haven't had a chance to jump into it. We're going to go over all these news stories, all the numbers, then we're going to go over an opinion piece about PlayStation, basically following the same path as Xbox. Xbox is truly leading the way. I think we talked about this a day or two ago. Xbox has started to silence its critics. It's oddly silent now. And I think it's beyond silent. Some people who were criticizing Xbox over on social media are now all behind Xbox. It's really interesting to see. And it's like anything else, you got to put up or shut up. And Xbox has definitely put up. They've put up with the criticism for a while. And now they're trying to win people over because the numbers are undeniable. When you're undeniable, you're undeniable. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Before we jump into it, though, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop videos like this all the time. We've got a podcast. I've got a newsletter. All the links are down below. So hit us up. We hang out. We talk about video games all the time right here. I absolutely love it. I love hanging out with you guys. So let's jump into our first news story. This is videogameschronicle.com here. Microsoft was the number one games publisher in the world last month. Nearly $500 million was spent on Xbox games across Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox in December. What's interesting about this is 64%. I think the number is 64%. We'll read about it here in a minute. But 64% of money spent in Microsoft games was from the PlayStation. That multi-platform strategy is indeed working with games like Call of Duty, Black Ops. I mean, Call of Duty, an absolute powerhouse. Also, there was some criticism too, like, well, Game Pass is going to destroy Call of Duty sales numbers. Call of Duty is the number one selling game in the world. Still retains that title, despite also being on Game Pass here. So really cool. $465 million was spent on Microsoft games over December, making the company the world's biggest publisher across PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. That's ginormous. That's according to data from Ampere and includes sales of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which was one of the biggest games over the holiday period. It also includes the release of Indiana Jones and The Great Circle, which launched in December. Indiana Jones, I believe, I saw them post yesterday. They have 4 million total players. Absolutely huge. Indiana Jones is a very solid title. I have a review video on it. Go check it out. If you have not checked it out, it's on Game Pass. It's a ton of fun. It's a palate cleanser. It's one of those palate cleanser games, just like Lonely Mountain. I would describe Lonely Mountain as a palate cleanser as well. Highly recommend you jump in and try it out. Microsoft has been putting increased focus on multi-format strategy, and 64% of consumer spending on Microsoft titles in December was on PlayStation formats driven by Call of Duty. Absolutely huge. Again, it's why the timed exclusive model for Game Pass makes sense. I get comments every time I say this in the videos by people saying like, oh, it makes no sense. You're just a shill for Game Pass. You mean I'm a shill for something that I believe is good for consumers, good for gamers, good for the industry, and good for Xbox? Yes, then I'm a shill for that. I think that Game Pass is going to be very hard to defeat, because anytime you release a game a timed exclusive on Game Pass like an Indiana Jones, and you eventually release it over on PlayStation, I've said this in the past, that's just a giant advertisement for Game Pass on PlayStation. It's the same with Call of Duty. Ampere says that Microsoft was comfortably ahead of second place Electronics Art. I don't know why I can't talk today. EA. It's ahead of second place EA, which generated $366 million, so almost $100 million more over the same period. EA's performance was driven by EA Sports Football Club 25, which delivered big numbers, albeit smaller than they were last year. Ampere data also revealed that 30 million hours were spent playing Fortnite on Christmas Day. Oh my goodness. Fortnite's a powerhouse as well, which meant the average Fortnite gamer spent 2.3 hours on the game that day. 20 million hours were also spent on Call of Duty games on Christmas Day as well. So just right behind Fortnite is Call of Duty. Absolutely huge for Xbox. It's a fantastic version of Call of Duty for sure. The two big talking points of the month were Marvel Rivals, which brought in 29 million monthly active users over December, while Path of Exile 2 generated 148 million, the firm estimates. And both of these successes made December a big month for Chinese publishers, which are growing their influence in the global games industry. And I think both of these things doing well are good for Xbox. Remember, Xbox owns their competitors, Overwatch now and Diablo. Word is that Diablo, they're making some changes to both of those, but Overwatch particularly, an article dropped yesterday in which Overwatch, as a result of Marvel Rivals doing so well, Overwatch is getting an overhaul. That is how competition is supposed to work, and I think it's a good thing. I think we're going to benefit as gamers for that. Overall, though, Microsoft, the number one games publisher in the world, is the beginning of this Xbox domination generation. It's not going to start. That rock is rolling down that mountain, and it's going to be hard to stop going forward, I believe. What's more is we also had the earnings call from Microsoft, and you can see this is an article over at WindowsCentral.com. Game Pass carried Xbox with record revenue and huge subscribers gains last quarter. Basically, they made more money from Game Pass than from console sales last quarter, which is the direction of Xbox going forward. Remember, the way the console model has always worked since Nintendo versus Sega, the console is used to sell software. You usually lose money, especially up front on the hardware. It's used to sell the software. Excuse me, I have a cold. I'm just getting over here. Apologies for that. And this is no different here. And that's why you can see that we're at a place in technology. Game Pass, the ecosystem here, is the main focus point of Xbox, of Microsoft. And it carried Xbox with record revenue and huge subscriber gains last month. This is WindowsCentral.com. Microsoft's latest earnings report shows that Game Pass has rocketed skyward. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, announced the news during the report's webcast. Quote, "All up, Game Pass set a new quarterly record for revenue and grew its PC subscriber base by over 30% as we focus on driving fully paid subscribers. The growth is an incredible achievement as the service had largely stalled out in what many considered the plateau of the service. Two games reportedly carried this mark. The first being the most sold game in 2024, Black Ops 6. Nadella confirmed it was also the biggest launch in the series history." So you can see, again, in order for a subscription service to work, you've got to have big titles on there to get people to come over. Call of Duty clearly has done that for them. I think Indiana Jones is that. And then they add up over time, and even niche games add up over time. So having, for instance, like a Civilization in there, you're going to get people from Civilization. It's all about getting it in front of the public's consciousness, getting it in front of becoming the zeitgeist of culture. Hey, Game Pass is how I play games. And it feels like Microsoft has finally flipped that script, where people who were criticizing it, who were saying this is not the future, there's no way, this is going to fail, are now either silent or saying, okay, Xbox is crushing it. They're starting to crush it. Indeed, we have this article from tweaktown.com. Xbox doubles down on profit, high margin businesses, Xbox Game Pass breaking exclusivity, etc. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella gives an update on the state of Xbox business, saying that releasing games like Black Ops 6 on Game Pass is paying off. Of course it's paying off. It's the biggest game in the world. You've just got to get Game Pass into players' consciousness. We're in a whole new world in gaming. The next 5 years are going to look completely different than the past 5 years. Here is what he said. Satya Nadella specifically. We are focused on improving the profitability of the business in order to position it for long-term growth driven by higher margin content and platform services. We're delivering on this plan. Black Ops 6 was the top-selling game on Xbox and PlayStation this quarter and saw more players in its launch quarter than any other paid release in franchise history. And we saw rave reviews of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which has largely been played by more than 4 million people. A huge success. Again, love that game. That game is a 9 in my book. Definitely go check it out. We also continue to see strong momentum for Xbox Cloud Gaming with a record 140 million hours streamed this quarter. That number, I think, is going to skyrocket because we're so close on cloud gaming being there. Again, GeForce Now, if you've not tried it, highly recommend you go try it. You will become a believer in cloud gaming. All up, Game Pass set a new quarterly record for revenue and grew its peak PC subscribers base by over 30% as we focus on driving fully paid subscribers across endpoints. This is a chart this is just an estimate from Tweak down here, and you can see of Game Pass subscriber growth. And just based off what we know, this is what they're estimating it to be at. So you could see it's trending upward. It's trending upward sharper than it ever has before. The ball is starting to roll here for Xbox. It's good news. These high, it's why you go out and get billion-dollar businesses. You go out, how foolish does everybody look that's like, oh, they're just going third party. No, they're not going third party. It's all part of putting them in a subscription service, guys. That's the point in going out and paying billions of dollars for Activision, Blizzard, for Bethesda, etc. Listen to this. This is WCCFtech.com, and this is how we'll close today. PlayStation will eventually abandon console exclusives and follow Xbox's strategy, Moon Studios CEO believes. Here is his post right here. Thomas Mahler. This is Ori and the Blind Forest. This is the guy that created that. On Twitter, he responded to Shinobi, where Phil Spencer in his interview talked about Game Pass and Xbox hardware. He says, I know some people always want me to join the console warring, but I strongly believe that Phil Spencer has the right approach. This is the CEO of Moon Studios, Ori and the Blind Forest. We decided a few years back let me actually hit show more. Let's actually go to his tweet because it's a lengthy one. We decided a few years back not to make Wicked Game under Microsoft because back then we couldn't have shipped it for PlayStation and Switch. And since we knew how important multiplayer and crossplay would be, we decided to partner with Take-Two instead. In my emails to Phil Spencer over the years, I always brought up how crazy it would have been if we could have only watched certain DVDs on Sony players, while for others you would have needed a Samsung player, etc. I think we can all agree this would have been nutty for films, so why are games any different? Completely agree with that. He closes, I'd be surprised if Sony won't end up with the same strategy. People should buy the device they like the most, but they should then have the access to all the content. And yes, Nintendo will keep doing their own thing because Nintendo is Nintendo, and that's okay. Rooting for one huge corporation to sell more boxes over another strikes me as fantastically senseless. We should all just share in the love for games. Xbox narrative of playing your games anywhere, on any device, however you want, feels like it's starting to break through the noise. That's why I bring up this story here. I do think PlayStation is going to follow suit. I think they're late to the party because they don't have to. They're number one in the space. When you're top dog, you don't have to adjust. Everybody has to adjust to you to try to make inroads. Xbox has a Blue Ocean strategy here. For those of you that haven't read Blue Ocean Strategy, it's a marketing book. And it says, if there's no space for you to win, go create a blue ocean. Go out to the blue ocean and do something that's never been done before, or do something different than everyone else is doing. That's what Xbox is doing here with subscription gaming. Yes, I know subscription gaming is not new. It's been done in the past. The technology wasn't there for it to be done. A major publisher like Xbox, a major console maker like Xbox has never done that before. It's the first time we're seeing it at where someone's going all in on it in this manner, where they're spending billions of dollars to go pick up studios, tens of billions of dollars to pad out their offerings. And I think it's huge. All in all, I think it's been a good week for Xbox. I think the critics are being silenced, and I think we're at the dawn of the beginning of the golden age of gaming. I think we're at the beginning of the Xbox domination generation. Would love to know what you guys think, where you disagree with me. Am I overstating it? Am I too hopeful here? Let me know in the comments below. Again, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop videos like this all the time. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.